That's my baby. That's my baby.
We're going at it at 110%.
I just want 5 minutes of happiness, please. Just give me 5 minutes.
And they scored. They did it.
Left, beat left.
What the hell was that? Oh, yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about?
All right, what is up, fam? We are back here for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve Rochelle, being joined by this guy. He's now going to become known for the silly faces at the beginning of the show because, oh my God, dude.
You told me to make silly faces and smile, so when you tell me to do something, I really do it. You know, I don't just do it. I really do it.
As Ken says, we do it at 110% on here on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Exactly what we do around here. Exactly. See, Ken gets it.
Oh man, we're gonna have some fun tonight. Obviously, we're gonna talk some Sixers. You know, some ups, some downs. Over the last 6-7 days here for Sixers Nation. We're gonna talk some Phillies. Obviously, you know, nice win against Gabe tonight, right? You know, Reese with some bombs tonight. This afternoon. We're looking good. Look good tonight. So maybe they'll be spared from Mr. Burr's rage for one evening at least. We're gonna have some fun on the second hour. We're gonna be joined by two female fighters. We're gonna be joined by Marina Coffman and Miranda Maverick. Marina Miranda is gonna be fighting for UFC, was it July 24th against Maycee Barber, and Marina is gonna just recently sign a contract with BKFC, so that should be fun. We're gonna be talking obviously UFC fight night's going on right before we get live. Me and Zach were catching some of the fights. That they're already knocking them cold, guys. They're already knocking them cold. Make sure you're watching ESPN. I think it's 2 right now, or plus one of the 2.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things on right now. A lot of good stuff. Hockey playoffs. Like Lightning are playing against the Islanders.
Wait. Is Zach want to talk some hockey with us tonight?
Hey, yes, because the Lightning are playing, and what do I say? I'm a Lightning fan now, right? So we can do a Lightning Islanders Game 4 live reaction at 8:30. We've got it's Game 7 between the Bucks and Nets, so we're going to have to do a live reaction there, right? I mean, there's got to be a lot of things we're talking tonight in this 2 hours, Stephen. It's jam-packed, Stephen. I love it. Let's do it.
Absolutely, and let the fam know who the Weekly Roundup is brought to you by this evening.
Well, it's brought to you, as always, Stephen, by Alan J. Foy and eXp Realty, right? And if you're looking to buy or sell a home, you're looking for a change in career or brokerage, that's who you contact. It's Alan Foy of eXp Realty, LLC, at 302-682-8820. You can visit him at alan.foy@exprealty.com or on Facebook, Alan J. Foy. That's who you follow him on Facebook. I know him as AJ from all of our days, growing up playing sports together in high school and stuff. So good Lord, I guess call him anything. Alan, AJ,
Mr.
whatever
Foy.
you want. Mr. Foy. Especially if you're feeling dirty, right?
Yeah, but let's hop in with
he would appreciate that joke. You have no idea how much he would appreciate that joke if he was listening, Stephen. Mr. Foy, if you're is there you would tell somebody like, what is your name? Oh, you give me your first name, and Mr. Burr if you're feeling nasty, right? Like you give me your first name. It's Zach, but Mr. Burr if you're feeling nasty. Like, oh, he would appreciate that joke so much right now if he was here.
Oh man! Hopefully he catches it on the rebound and he can appreciate it then, my friend. But want to get the fam start on the poll question. We're gonna get in some Sixers talk and want to hear what everyone's thoughts here. The Sixers will still win Game 7 despite Ben Simmons' offensive limitations, which is all out for everyone to see at this point in time. Agree to disagree. Let's see what the fam had to say this evening. We got Jake up in the house, Mr. Persky. Appreciate the love.
Well, I'll say this, Steven. I'll start with this. What's up? The Blue City Empire Sport. Well, not hey, we're kind of an empire of our own here at A2D Radio, so we always love
Lords up in the house.
Lords here. There we go. Steven, I'll say this, right? Because it was looking iffy there for a little bit. We're like, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about this series. But then Mr. Rob Brinkman said, and I quote unquote yesterday, I believe it was yesterday when Tom said, watch us win this series now on Facebook. And Mr. Rob Brinkman said, 0 chance, quote unquote, 0 chance. So as soon as I read that, I said, it's going to happen, right? I mean, it almost like has to, like it almost, now we are going to win the series because he said 0 chance. So, I've been saying we're going to win this series the whole time. I might pull a little bit of
Tom, big Tom's up in the house. Big Tom's up in the house.
What's going on, Tommy? I'm with you. We're going to win Game 7. I'm going to pull a little bit of an Aaron Rodgers here and tell everybody, a little bit RELAX, relax, right? I mean, maybe we just relax a little bit. Yeah, it was hard to watch games. Games 4 and 5 were watching them blow big leads was hard to watch, but you're still in a position. You win Game 7. You go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and you're in the same position we've been talking about being in this entire time, right?
Oh man,
and maybe Steven, maybe you learn a little bit about this team that we didn't know before. Like this would be a test where you're like, we all were kind of. Let's not lie now, Steven, right? Because we got receipts. It's not like we can't go all out and find the receipts, right? Let's not lie. We know after Game 5, this team was down 3-2, and people were done with them. They were done with them. They said it's over. There's no chance. This team, it's just done. We blew it. It's over now. Trae Young came and took our lunch money, and he's running home with it now. And it's over. We had our chance to close it out. We didn't make it happen. But here we are. You go to Game 7 and all can be right in the world again, right? And maybe you just, I know we like to find things to be upset about, right, as Philly fans, right, and as Philadelphia fans, but, it's you move past an ugly 2-game performance and you put everything in perspective and you say maybe this team, they learn a little bit about themselves from a character perspective by being able to go through all that and bounce back and still win the series. And maybe it's good for this team going forward in the playoffs. At least that's how I got to look at it, right? Because I'm tired of hearing everybody be all negative about it. So I'll try to take a little bit of a different spin on it.
I'll say it like this. I'm agreeing in the poll. We thought we had him in 6. We both sat there and said it was probably gonna be 6. It got pushed. Here we are at 7. We didn't. No one expected what we've seen in 4 and 5. We already went on that. It was rough. And like you said, a lot of people jumped ship. A lot. Don't want to hear it. Like, listen.
Don't make me expose y'all. Don't make me do it.
And I said this is the one we had to watch out for too. This is the monkey that's been on our back the last few years that we had to be careful. And I don't know if it's maybe some of that mentality they were falling back into, but they respond here. Get big tough win Game 6. Respond. Listen, as Jay was talking about, as me and you were, we've been pounding the table. Give us more Maxey. Maxey delivered. All right. Maxey delivered Game 6 and helped stepped up where we were. It was looking dicey again for a minute.
Is it possible? And I know, and I've been talking about this a little bit too, but I don't know. I think now more than ever, when you look at it, you go, why is it not possible to play Maxey on the floor with Simmons at the same time? It makes Simmons your 4. Why can't Maxey, Simmons, Embiid, and Harris all be on the floor at the same time? You know what I mean? And you just because Simmons can, we know defensively what he can do. He can mark anybody 1 through 5. So he doesn't even really have a position out there, does he? Because offensively, we bitch about him offensively. Well, you can't put it. Why can't you put it? Okay, so if he marks whoever you want him to mark defensively, and then offensively he doesn't have a position because let's be honest, he's been invisible anyway, right? So
at least he pulls his own card here. At least he pulls his own card here, right, Zach?
With another point guard, you know what I'm saying? You can't have him and Maxey. Why not? Simmons doesn't even have an offensive position at this point. Fuck it, he's just a guy taking up space. But I'm going to maximize everything I've got with this team. I think having them both on the floor, is beneficial. We talk about Simmons doesn't attack the rim. What did Tyrese Maxey do last night? At will. He will. One thing that kid does is attack the rim relentlessly. Right? He will take it to the rack. He's not scared. And we talk about 110%, right? As our friend Ken Shamrock likes to say, right? That he attacks the rim. We wish Ben Simmons did. Okay, fine. Maxey attacks the rim offensively. Ben Simmons can maybe shut you down defensively. Although he struggled with that the past couple of games too, which is starting to piss me off. But still, I think we're a better basketball team with them on the floor together at the same time, is what I'm saying, as opposed to a situation like we saw last night where Ben's in foul trouble and now Maxey comes in relief. And he gave us a spark. I mean, he was everything you needed him to be off the bench. But why the hell not have that from the start? I don't think you can convince me that they can't play on the floor together. It's just not. It doesn't make any sense.
Hypothetical. You're Doc Rivers. Who's your starting five to tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, Maxey, Seth Curry, Harris, Simmons, Embiid. I mean, I got my five best players on the floor. I don't care, who can do what. What they all do a little bit of everything, right? But that's my five best players. I want them all on the floor together.
Listen, I still don't think I'm ready to pull the plug on Simmons as a starter just yet. Yeah, obviously we know what you're getting with him at this point in time. You got to let him play his hand, play through. If he doesn't have it tomorrow night, he doesn't have it. Then you pull him and do what you have to do. But be prepared for that. I still don't think you yank Ben quite yet.
I don't know what
that's just my opinion.
If he continues to
Theta, yeah. Tommy says.
I mean, okay, I'm with you there, Tommy. I'm not if it comes to they're not going to play on the floor together, and it's not going to be Simmons and Maxey on the floor together. You've got to pick one or the other. I probably start Maxey because you roll with the hot hand. He gave you a spark that you needed in Game 6, and it is what it is. And if Simmons becomes the most valuable sixth man in all of basketball throughout the rest of this playoff run, then that's what it is, right? I mean, you deal with that in the offseason, but I think we're what makes us the best basketball team we can be? Go on the floor together. That starting five I gave you. They asked me who's my starting five. I don't see how why you can't make that work. I think we all know that's probably not going to be the case, right? That won't be the starting five that's run out there tomorrow, and maybe that's the better conversation to have is what do you do with the combination that we know Doc is going to run out there? What do you do in the situation that you're in if you're Doc? Because he's not going to go with the starting five I just gave you, or the starting five maybe that you even want, Steven, right? So with what he's got and what he's going to do, in the way that he likes to go with the rotation of the roster, I'd probably play Simmons as a sixth man if I'm him. And I say Maxey's going to be my one. Seth Curry's my two. Your Harris is going to be in there with Embiid, and then
Tom is going Fork. So
if you need a three ball, sure, but I mean, hell, Fork's been so garbage. I mean, I haven't. So he is a guy that can.
So Blue City, what's your thoughts on this?
He gives me
are
nothing.
You feeling? Now, with all that,
I'd rather go Thibault. I think if Simmons is on the bench, I'm going Thibault there. So it would be Maxey, Curry, Thibault, Harris, Embiid.
So Blue City guy got something to say here. He wants to. Are you getting any a Raptors 2.0 feel here?
No, I'd be more worried we win Game 7 and then go get swept by Brooklyn or swept by Milwaukee or something like that. That's more where maybe it takes everything out of us to go win this series and then we just get fucking killed next series. But I know you're a big Matisse guy. You like the idea of playing Matisse in the starting lineup over Ben?
Like I said, I want to be able to still have that. The flexibility from your bench, you know what Ben is, but I still I don't want to change anything on that aspect just yet until like you know that dude is absolutely he's roasted. There's nothing you can get out of him. You know what I mean?
So you think Matisse gives you the flexibility off the bench that you're looking for?
I mean, I don't want to mess with the bench right now. That's why I just said just stick with. I know it's rough, guys. I know, and it's almost insanity at this point to trot him out there. But he, and as you were saying, it's not like he over the last handful of game, his defense has been above stellar either. Because he hasn't been exploding the stat sheet on that side of it either. So
he was not. Yeah, he was not good in Game 6. Like, I mean, his
he hasn't been good, but it's just like when like in baseball we talk about you got to let him play through the slump. You have to assume at some point in time over the next handful of days, week that Ben kind of picks something back up and finds something in it and. I mean, I'm not quite ready to throw the book at him yet. Does he deserve a lot of the criticism thrown his way? Yeah, he absolutely does. But I'm just not at the point where I just want to completely tinker around with everything. Maybe that's a conversation we have. When we move on, when and if we move on to play the Nets or Milwaukee, however that winds up playing out.
We'll find out that tonight. We'll have a live reaction to that. Game 7 of Milwaukee Brooklyn starts at 8:30, right? But I look at it as like you brought up like the baseball and the playoffs. Like I look at it as maybe if a guy's struggling and he usually hits in your 2-hole or something like that, and you move him down to your 7 or 8-hole now because it's the playoffs and you can't afford to have a guy that's cold at the top of your lineup. Maybe that's what I'm looking at with Ben. Like, you talk about bench flexibility, and I get it. I like Matisse off the bench for that reason too. Same reason Tyrese Maxey's big off the bench. But maybe Ben becomes at this point, like, again, what if he becomes the best 6-man in basketball all of a sudden by being, your 6-man off the bench, and it's almost like the idea of him not being in the starting lineup makes it a little bit harder for teams to know what they're going to get with him or something like that. He can come in and play multiple roles off the bench. He can come in and play the 1. He can come in and play the 4. He can play the 3. He can play a little 5. Whatever you need to do to try to. Embiid needs a break here. We need to get Maxey off the floor. Harris is cold. Whatever the deal might be. Maybe he becomes, your bench becomes even more flexible with him as your 6th man, than it did before. And maybe it's like almost like an addition by subtraction sort of thing, right? Like, and if that's the case, I don't even care. Like that, like I said, that's why I said I'll deal with that in the offseason. Now you got $170 million 6th man, but. If that means you get a championship out of it, I'll deal with that and we'll roll with it, and we'll go from there. But I'm not, it's right now it's looking more and more and more like we should have pulled the trigger on the trade in the offseason when Houston wanted him as the lead part of the package for James Harden, right? Because now I'm scared that like I would love to think that you could make Ben Simmons a lead part of a package to go get a guy like Damian Lillard this offseason. But I'm not sure that Portland would think enough of Ben Simmons at this point for them to want him as a part of the, a lead part of the package for Damian Lillard. They might demand, we want Simmons, Maxey, Matisse Thybulle, and 2 first-round picks, and I'd probably still do that. But you're talking about giving up a lot there in that scenario to get one guy, right? But I'd probably still do it just because I think Dame Dollar has that killer instinct this team's missing. You need a guy like that, a killer to go with Embiid. And whatever else around it, and I think it would be a really sexy acquisition this offseason. But we'll get.
I don't think they're able to pull off something like that to pull Dame out of there. Crazier things have happened, but
does anybody have a better package to give up than that?
We don't know what's what right now, but we'll see. We'll see what this postseason has done to affected Ben's dollar amount, I guess you would say, on the open market. One thing you have to say, like, you do have to kind of go back and kind of re-question the process at this point in time, don't you? With everything that they've done, like, basically,
it all depends what happens this postseason. You know what I mean? Like, again, we gave up on this series a little early. Now you go win it, and again, we're right in the position we've talked about being in all season long. We're back in the Eastern Conference Finals. We got to, take care of business, whatever the deal might be there. But yes, if you don't end up getting at least a championship out of this, it's kind of, you're like, what was the point of all this? But in some ways, if you found a way to get out of the Ben Simmons contract and you trade him and you find a way to bring in a point guard, whether it's Damian Lillard, whether it's somebody completely, outside of that, you could just look at it maybe as an extension of the process, right? You just got to find, I think my point with, and I'm actually a big Ben Simmons guy, right? There's going to be people listening like, wow, like he's not a Ben Simmons guy. Like, I'm a pretty big Ben Simmons guy. Like, I'm not one of these guys like, oh, Ben Simmons is a bum. Like, I see his value. I understand what he does for me on a basketball court and how he makes, how he impacts the game on both sides of the floor. But when you watch the NBA and you look at it, right, like teams keep a core together for 3, 4, 5 years, right? Like if you don't win something in that time frame, it's kind of like you start looking for ways to kind of break it up or you got to find a way to make it better than it currently is because what we currently have isn't good enough sort of thing. And I think that's where we're at. If you don't win it this year, you look at it and say, how many runs can you make at it with Simmons and Embiid as your core before you decide, not that we're not a good enough basketball team to do it, but it's just not currently working as it's constructed and you got to find a way to make it better. And, how do you make a great team better than it already is? You got to get creative. And that's where ideas like trading a guy like Simmons and Maycee and Thibault and a first-round pick, or maybe Simmons and Thibault and or Simmons and Maycee and Korkmaz and 2 firsts to get a guy like Lillard. You're like, oh, sounds like a lot, but yeah, like what if that's the missing piece? What if that is the thing that gets you over the hump? That's all that matters for me with the process is finding a way to go win a championship out of this whole thing.
But Blue City, yeah, we know Joe's got his firstborn, and he'll probably he'll have a little a little pop tomorrow. So
yeah, I wasn't sure what his point was. I wasn't sure if he was saying like that's going to be a distraction for Embiid or like what it was going to be.
Nah, I mean I think that you know how Joe is that's just a driving point for him if you really ask me. But
yeah, I mean. I'm with you, Lordy. Yeah,
but we do gotta address that one. We have to address the trade, the trade that's happened in the last few days that sent Kemba Walker to OKC.
You don't like it, do you, Steve?
And Al Horford back to Boston.
You don't like it, do you?
Well, it doesn't bother me either way. I just don't.
Well, no, I mean like. I see people ripping it like, oh, what a terrible trade. And I think like, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. You had to get out of the Kemba Walker contract in some way, right? Like that was what it was. Like, it's just a disaster piece. Like, so like, I mean, okay, like you start over. That's kind of does this almost give you the idea that Brad Stevens is like, we might blow everything up and start over from scratch a little bit here, but they've got Jason Tatum, so no matter what, you're already going to be a decent team just because you have a superstar in Tatum, right? So I think they were trying to find a way out of the contract. Like you said, it doesn't really affect us as I mean,
the only way it affects us is just means we have to deal with Anna a couple times a year more when we see Boston. That's the only thing it really means for us. Now, on the other side of those rough games 4 and 5, does that make you question Doc at all? We've been giving him a lot of love this season. Some fans don't really feel completely on the players on that fall apart. That we're getting Scooby Dooed and Doc is really Brett Brown in disguise.
Yikes, Scoob. I mean, I don't know. I mean, me. I'm a guy that's like, I'm critical. The head coach. People, players playing, coaches coach. Like, no, like, listen, shit. Like when shit breaks down with your team, and I did this with Doug Peterson with the Eagles this past year, right? Like, it don't matter what how you want to spin it. When shit breaks down and it gets ugly with your team, it falls at the feet of the head coach. That's who's going to take the brunt of the blame. So yeah, I mean, of course, he takes the brunt of it, especially when you look at his history of blowing big leads and things like that. You're like, that was the knock on him when we hired him, was the fact that that was the thing about him. But it is what it is. Like, again, you win Game 7, it's all is right in the world. You lose Game 7, yeah, there's a lot. I'll tell you what, this is one of the biggest games in franchise history in a lot of ways. Like when you look at it, like
for the process.
For the process, right? But you look at the direction you're going to go. Like you win this game, and maybe you go and then you win the Eastern Conference Finals, and all of us are shutting the hell up because we're going and playing for a championship.
Your favorite troll is back, my friend. Your favorite troll is back. Your favorite troll's back.
You lose Game 7, you don't even make the Eastern Conference Finals, and you're almost like, well, hell, we fired Brett Brown for a reason. This is supposed to be the whole thing. You're bringing Doc. He's supposed to be the missing piece. You start questioning a lot of things. You almost have no choice but to change it up in some way, right? You almost have no choice but to find a way to, trade Ben Simmons and do what you can with that, just because like that's again the way the league works. Like it's not working the way it's currently constructed. Got to do something, and you're not going to do something like just blow it all up and start over again. So like what do? You're not trading Embiid. That's not happening, right? So Tobias Harris probably doesn't have the value, to where you'd be like, all right, let's make him the centerpiece of a trade, right? So Simmons doesn't have the value that he did last offseason, though, which is what, is scary for you is when Houston, a lot of us said no, and I was on the fritz with it too because I'm like, I'm not a big Harden guy, but it's looking more and more and more like, maybe that would have been the right move,
Yeah,
was
but
Maxey in that deal?
Do you still want that whole, the whole thing that comes with James Harden, one, and two, he's older, more injured. Like we don't know what
he's better than what Ben Simmons.
Well, but you got to remember Ben's still what, like 24 years old. We also don't know what he's going to develop into in the next.
I think we do
4 years
because I finally have gotten to the point where, and again, it's not that Ben's like not a great player for what he already is, but I think when you watch Ben, it's quite obvious his competitive fire, like he doesn't have one, pretty much like it's like, where's your competitive fire? It doesn't exist. He doesn't seem interested in getting better. He doesn't seem interested in attacking his, the flaws in his game and improving on it. He just seems to be a guy that's content with being what he is as a player. And what he is as a player is a very good player, but you have to be willing to get better, right? You have to be willing to work to get better as a player, or else you kind of become useless to me at some point. Like what, this is what you are. Like you're not
at this point in time. You're at the point. You're at the point where his flaws are just too much for you feel the team overall to have to overcome on a consistent basis. It's not just with the shot. Him not taking shots. It's the at the free throw line. The fact that we're sitting here 3.5, 4 years later still talking about him not shooting the ball. Him still having problems at the free throw line. If I remember correctly, didn't Joe have a problem at first that he hasn't perfected, but he's corrected? Plenty
of players had those issues earlier in their career. Like when we talked about this in 2018, we said, okay, it'll be fine. By the time 2021 comes around, he'll have a 20-foot jumper. He'll be better from the free throw line. He'll improve on all those things, but he hasn't. And it's not because he can't. It's just because he doesn't want to, right? Like we all know the dude's a physical freak. We all know the dude's a super athletically gifted. It comes down to the fact that when it gets to this level of sport, when you get to pro sports, you can only be as good as you want to be, right? And at this point, I see a guy that is content with what he is as a player, and that's not going to change. You can, at some point that'll change. No, it won't. Like when he was 20, when he was 19 or 20, like, yeah, maybe he'll figure that out by the time he's 24. At 24, if you haven't figured that out within 5 years, he's already, 5 years into his career. You ain't figured that out now. You're not going to figure it out. Like, when are you supposed to figure it out? I got to wait till you're 30.
Jamar's got his bad bags packed already, so it won't be here.
Right. Like he's not going to develop because he doesn't want to. Like, and we've learned that about him already. You want to see a definition of a guy that that like you said, wow, this guy's really got potential, and then you watched his game develop. You go and look at a guy like Devin Booker in Phoenix, right? Like, and it took him how long to develop? His first year, you're like, oh, this guy's got potential. Year 2, you're like, oh yeah, he could be a good player. By year 4, he's a flat out superstar, right? Because the guy worked and worked and worked, and you could tell, it was there that he wanted to become the best player he could be. Jimmy Butler had a terrible jump shot when he comes into the league, right? Jimmy Butler was not a good offensive player at all. Jimmy Butler works his ass off to become, one of the best all-around players in basketball. Ben Simmons doesn't want to be Jimmy Butler. He doesn't have Jimmy Butler's work ethic. Jimmy Butler has more competitive fire in his left pinky toe than Ben Simmons has in his entire being. Okay? And that's the problem with this basketball team. That's why Jimmy Butler left and fled and scrammed to Miami, because he knew there was no help in that situation. He knew there's no getting through to this guy. This guy is what he is. He wants to go fuck a Kardashian and fuck around on TikTok at 2 a.m., after playoff games where he's absolute garbage, and he's not worried at all about getting better as a basketball player, right? And that's why Jimmy Butler left and said, peace, I'm out. I'm going someplace where, there's some type of competitive fire and a team that cares about winning championships, which obviously Eric Spoelstra in Miami, what they do. So I think that became obvious when Jimmy Butler left. We kind of figured that out about Ben. He doesn't have that fire, that competitive nature about him, where it's in him to try to want to have to work hard enough to be the best.
So what do you think of this assessment from Jamar? Ben's the type of guy that when he gets traded, he develops a jump shot just to spite us.
Absolutely, 100%, absolutely. No, it's almost funny. I was saying that to somebody the other day. It's almost like this is a dude. He really he hears everything the fans say. He knows people talk all this shit. You watch him in practice. He can hit 3-pointers and turn around jumpers, and he makes all his free throws. And you're like, there's absolutely no way that a dude like that, Then I watch him in Game 5 pass up a fucking wide open, 8-foot little baby jump shot where you're like, dude, just literally lean in and lay it up with your fucking finger roll and your 7'4" wingspan or whatever the fuck you have. You could just kiss it home off the glass, very easy. It'd be such a simple finish at the rim. And instead he turns and passes it out to somebody. You're like, the only reason, he did that because he chose to. That wasn't anything outside of he's like, ooh, I'm just going to do this because, I hear all these people talking shit. Oh, this will piss them off. Boom. Let me pass. You know what I mean? It almost does. You almost do, when you watch him play, it gives you that idea that he's trying to spite you a little bit. I hear all these people talking shit. I'm just going to miss this free throw just because it'll really piss him off. And maybe he is one of them. He ends up someplace else, and all of a sudden he's scoring 20, 25 a night because he's like, I could shoot 3-pointers all along. I just didn't want to because fuck you guys. You guys are assholes. He 100% has that entitlement about him. Yeah. I'd like to tell the story about how I know a high school basketball coach down here that went to a seminar that, obviously Ben Simmons played high school basketball down here in Florida, and his high school basketball coach had a seminar. And one of the high school basketball coaches we did work with A2D Radio up there in South Jersey came down to the seminar down here, and they asked him about Ben Simmons' work ethic, and he said when he was here, all he gave a fuck about was chasing bitches and dunking the basketball. And that was when he was in high school. He had no interest in getting better. He just wanted to chase bitches and dunk the basketball. Here we are, how many years later? All he still wants to do is chase bitches and dunk the basketball. He's got no interest in getting better. He has no interest in working hard at his game. It's almost like that was a spot-on assessment from his high school basketball coach about this is what the guy is. So,
less criticism. I don't know. He gets hammered, but I think what it is Giannis is in Milwaukee and Ben's in Philadelphia. It's just
those are completely mental. I mean, yeah, but that's a nonsense argument too. Ben's saying after Game 5, I just think it's mental. Well, then stop being mental, Ben. How is it mental? Well, then stop being mental. Then get the fuck out your own head. It's just in my head. So what are you saying? You're a head case, Ben? We got some dude in the front row over here showing you how to shoot free throws, right? Elbow in, Ben. Elbow in, right? Elbow in. It's elbow in. We learned it when we were young. Elbow in, right? It's basic jump shot form. Elbow in. And it's Jesus Christ. I mean, I've never seen a dude. If it's that mental, well, then that's a problem too, is it not? This dude can't get out of his own head enough where he can't even make a goddamn free throw.
It's rough. It's rough, and then all the other nonsense during the week. Him on social media messaging people after his bad performances and all that. We deal with all that, and listen, I really don't care either way. Right? Like, listen, as long as the guy comes in and he gives me his effort, which we can tell at this point in time, like you said, he's got some entitlement about him that you feel like it's kind of a spite thing. I can't sit there and say that that's neither here nor there in this instance. But at the same time, us as fans, his team, you have to be frustrated at this point in time, being able to see that he's capable of doing this, and for whatever reason, it's just not manifesting in the game is beyond maddening. This has to probably be the Ben Simmons probably has to be the most frustrating athlete in Philadelphia's sports in the last 10 years.
That's fair. Maybe up there with Ryan Howard, with how frustrated people used to get with him towards the end with everything.
Ryan produced on a regular basis.
Ryan was a pimp on both sides, right? Yeah, like Ryan was a flat out
sides
pimp.
On the regular basis. Ryan
was my dude. Ask anybody that knew me when I was a teenager, bro. Well, Ryan was my dude. I'm not a Ryan Howard slanderer. Dude was on a Hall of Fame pace for a 5-year stretch. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously people used to get on him to a rate, where.
Like, listen, it was like, listen, he used to either rip the cover off the ball or go down swinging. And sometimes there were some bad ones. It was like, oh God, could you just taken that one, Ryan? I know what you're talking. We used to destroy him over that. I get that, but I mean, come on.
How is that not a penalty? That's a penalty, right? Yeah, it's a penalty. Roughing.
Matt's over here. Ben needs to smoke his joint. Go out there and not give a fuck.
No, Ben gives too much of a fuck about it. That's just like, I don't think, like, I was making, like, I was being like facetious with the way I was saying it. Like, I don't actually think he's spiteful like that. It's like an intentional thing, but it almost, like, when you watch it, that's the feel you get. You're like, dude, like, this guy is like how is this a thing? Like, how is this possible? Like, I don't know. It is weird. He does have.
He's
soft.
Mentally. I don't know if I can say winning isn't a priority for him, but I would have to say it's fair that improving isn't a priority for him, because we're still having that conversation. I don't know if winning isn't a priority. Like, that part of that might not be fair, but I agree. The desire, those are things that none of us can. Anyone who has two. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
I'm just saying, anyone who has two eyes can see. Like, he's not. He's not there in that aspect. Go ahead, brother.
He'd be the type of teammate that Kobe Bryant would, throw off the team bus in the middle of a road trip to Phoenix. Like out in the middle of the Arizona desert. Like, like he couldn't play for a guy. He couldn't play with a guy like Kobe or Michael or somebody like that demands so much out of teammates. Demands them to be their best, because he just doesn't have that in him. He just does not care.
So I got one from YouTube. Their assessment is when he's pulling the shots with the wrong hand.
I don't want to hear that either. How long? Okay, so then figure it. Okay, so how long are we going to fucking shoot with the wrong hand then? I mean, you know what I mean? Like, good Lord, that's all a bunch of nonsense. And maybe he fucking is, but I mean, like,
what's up, B-Dub? 65. Yeah, I'm with you on there. Like I still think there's a probability that it bounces back on the other side. So definitely feel you there. That not 100% on the W, but I'm with you. More than half.
With the wrong hand, and he can't figure it out. Then he just don't give a fuck. And as I made the point on Facebook the other day, he looks like a guy out there that don't give a fuck. Well, if you don't give a fuck, then why the fuck should we? So if he's at a point where he just don't give a fuck, then neither should we. Like, then fuck it. Like, find a way to trade him, put him in a package, send him to wherever the hell you got to send him to. Get whatever you can back in return, but you can't just trade him for nothing. That's my other thing. Like, I know people are like, I'll trade him for whatever. I'll trade him for a new bag of basketballs. Like, okay, now we're being ridiculous. Like, the guy has value, and you got to figure out a way to maximize that value in a trade, or else it's not worth it. If you're getting Damian Lillard back in return, okay. let's talk, right? If you're in a position where you're trading for a superstar that you're trying to come in and pair with Embiid, okay, you have the conversation, but you can't just trade him for nothing. You can't just trade him for just because you're trying to get out of the contract. You can't, oh, well, we can't pay him $170 million no more, so we had to figure out a way out of that. No, that's no good. Like, now the process becomes a complete failure. But if we can figure out a way to, extend the process or whatever, because you're getting creative by trying to figure out a way to, move on from one contract from a superstar, but in another superstar contract, let's talk, right? I don't think you're going to convince anybody, though, that, like, just moving on from him and becoming a worse basketball team because of it is worth it just to get rid of his contract. Like, you've got to figure out a way to maximize all that.
I'm gonna put this up here. Matt's got a point about something too. Hold on, we'll play this up. It's frustrating the offense has been. Said he doesn't show up on the other end. Other level. But here's the other side of it where he absolutely has a point. The shitty thing is that Ben, because of Ben's shitty play, Joel's having to still shoulder a lot of the load when we already known like he's technically should be on like load management under all intents purposes because of his injury. So with that,
what did I say earlier, Matt? Like, Matt, if you were listening earlier, remember I said, like, I'm not a Ben Simmons hater, and Steven will tell you this. I'm a guy that'll tell you, I understand Ben Simmons' value on both sides of the ball.
Romer?
He's a guy that makes his team better. He makes his teammates better, and he impacts the game on both sides of the ball. My point is just, at some point, you understand in the NBA the way it goes. You figure out in the window. It's not like the window is one of these big windows. It's a 3 to 5 year thing where if the way it's currently constructed doesn't work, you figure out a way to move on and try to get better than what you currently are. And that's all it is right now. We've seen this team try to make a run with this current core how many times? At some point, you got to figure out a way to change the core up a little bit. This core just isn't going to make it happen together. As much as I would love to see them do it, at some point, you got to say, okay, it's just not working. The way it's currently constructed doesn't work, and you got to go from there. It's not that like Ben Simmons is a bum, and I tried to make that clear from the very beginning. I said I'm not one of these guys going, he's a bum. I'm done with this guy. No, I understand how good of a player the guy's still is, but you're still one way or another. Like if you lose Game 7 to Atlanta and you don't make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, you got to do something this offseason. I mean, there's a lot of things that got to, a lot of questions that got to be answered, and a lot of things where you just got to go.
We're still in the what if stage, though. Obviously, Sunday still has to come to pass.
Sure. Sure.
And speaking of which, you said you wanted to talk a little Bucks and Nets too. Obviously, they're getting ready to kick things off here. Actually, they probably should be getting started right now. It's 8:43.
Yeah, next couple minutes, I would think. I've got the Lightning Islanders game on. The Lightning are out shooting the Islanders 11-3, but it's still a 0-0 game. 4 minutes to play in the first period. So
now, who do you think is coming out of that tonight, though? Nets, Bucks. I know. They're going Game 7 too. I would have figured they would have went 7 before we would have went, but I think whoever comes out of that one should definitely have their hands full with either us or the Hawks. If they're able to kind of pull it off and knock us off, it's fair to say everyone would say Trae Young has arrived. Is it correct? So
definitely. I mean, we talked about it last week, right? We even kind of like hoped for it. We're like, hey, we think if that Bucks Nets series goes 7 games, it should almost sync up. Yeah, they're already 6. They're 6 minutes into the first quarter. It's an 11-11 game. Bucks Nets are tied. So
there you go.
But we talked about it last week. We said that should sync up almost with our show next week. There's a good chance Game 7 would be live during our show. So it's one of those things where I think we expected this series to go 7. Maybe we didn't quite expect it to play out the way it has as far as how they got there. But it's there, and it's in Game 7 the way I think the way we talked about it last week, we predicted this to happen. So, and I've been predicting Milwaukee to win this series the entire time. So I'll stick with it. I'll roll with it. I got Milwaukee tonight. But what scares me if Brooklyn does win this series is I think Kyrie is then healthy for the series against us in the Eastern Conference Finals. And that's where Ben Simmons' regression now has me scared and where I've switched course from where I felt like we matched up pretty well against Brooklyn.
Me and you have a conversation. I still want all that smoke. I don't
after
care.
Watching what Trae Young has done this series with Ben Simmons, Kyrie's going to take his lunch money. Because Ben Simmons is just completely uninterested in, like the one guy said, Ben Simmons doesn't love ball. When Kyrie wants to lock in, Kyrie is a flat out baller, right? He's a pimp. He's a guy that can be the best player, on the court. And, that concerns me, him coming back in that series. I don't know if Ben Simmons is playing at a high enough level for us to match that. But Milwaukee, I still love our matchup against Milwaukee. I still really love our matchup against Milwaukee. I think about it. If Ben Simmons is playing at the level that he's playing, does that really hurt you? Who does that hurt you more against? His regression probably hurts us more against Brooklyn than it does Milwaukee, right? Like, the big matchup in Milwaukee has always remained the same. It's going to be Embiid, Giannis. That's your big matchup. Outside of that, let the chips fall where they will. But that was always going to be your big matchup. Ben Simmons playing at his highest level, or Ben Simmons playing the way he is now, wasn't going to change that. So I don't know. I've been picking Milwaukee to win it. I'll stick with it because I thought they were going to win it before, and I like the matchup that they are for us compared to Brooklyn. So I like it on both ends. Win-win.
Now, I said I wanted the Nets, and I'm not going away from the Nets because I'm scared. I think it's the better matchup. I'm just sitting there saying they're nicked up, they're banged up. The fact that Milwaukee's pushed them to this point, having all that, whereas basically it's just Giannis doing his thing, willing them there. I don't see why he can't will them through one more as them still being banged up. Kyrie's still out. He's the Bucks, the de facto Superman at this point in time. I don't, we'll see what happens. He still has a lot on his shoulders, like Joel does here. So has to beat the Nets. We'll see about that one. What about some of the stuff going out west? Are you surprised that the Jazz hasn't dispatched of the Clippers yet?
Well, the Clippers just won that series last night, so
yeah, but the fact that they had them on they let them hang around a little bit too long.
The Jazz choked that series away pretty much. Type of thing, right?
Exactly.
Like the Clippers lose Kawhi, their best player, right? And then Paul George, who gets a ton of criticism. Let's be honest, right? Like Paul George takes a ton of heat for.
Bryce has the Nets going
playoff P and all that, and then not always rising to the occasion.
And he has the Suns
really
over the Clippers. So Bryce
help carry them over Utah. So you know how much I was hoping for a Phoenix Utah Western Conference Finals. They just ruined everything. Why did they ruined it, Steven? They ruined it. I'm telling you, the NBA. Where's Tim Donaghy? Where's the guy? You know what? I'm telling you, the fix is in, Steven. Tim Donaghy has done it again. This guy.
As Bryce says, the Suns over the Clippers in 7. What are you feeling there?
Please, I need the Suns to win. I really need the Suns to win the Western Conference Finals. I so do. I need it. I just need it. Knowing the NBA, we'll still figure out a way to get it. It'll be Clippers Brooklyn for the NBA Finals, and the NBA will still get. We wanted LA Brooklyn for the finals matchup. Yeah, you got LA Brooklyn. We just know it wasn't, it's the other LA team that you wanted to be in the fucking finals.
Matt,
Blake Griffin. Oh, stop it. Blake Griffin ain't bullying nobody. Blake Griffin's the kid that's getting his lunch money taken on the playground. He ain't taking nobody's lunch money anymore. Blake Griffin.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean, I agree with that part of it. We definitely look like them.
Yeah, if Kyrie's out, I'll probably take the Nets, sure, but healthy Kyrie, healthy Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton's a good player, right? You know,
People
Drew
do sleep
Holiday's
on
a
Chris
good player.
Middleton.
But, you know, Kyrie Irving, James Harden.
Yeah,
they're much
Bryce.
better.
Bryce, we were talking about that a little bit earlier. Reese is starting to
Oh,
rake
we
a
got
little
him a
bit right now.
technical foul. Oh, wow. Somebody from Brooklyn got teed up. They just shoved Giannis out of bounds. Shit about to pop off here.
And I'm still watching the heavyweights go at it.
Well, there's about to be some heavyweights going at. Oh, yeah, that's way intentional.
Absolutely, Bryce. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. All that fun stuff. Before we forget about it tonight. Go ahead, brother. Giannis got wrote out.
Yes, I'll second that. Happy Father's Day to everybody. Early Father's Day. How about this? It's my birthday tomorrow to go along with Father's Day. It's one of those complicated things like fuck my birthday type of thing, right? Like my birthday don't matter when it's Father's Day. Like fuck me. God damn. Like.
Well, see what you should see. You know how you fix that? You go down to the pet store. You get yourself a little cat or puppy. Boom. You're a dad now. It all works out.
For those not watching the Nets Bucks game, Giannis tried to drive to the rack, and Brown from Brooklyn literally wrapped him up like in a football type tackle as he tried to go to the rack, and Giannis ended up getting knocked out of bounds. And then I guess they called a foul, and Brown mouthed off to the official. They teed him up. So, hey, what are you gonna do? Giannis is, it's hard to stop, right? You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Maybe you should go like UFC type of move on him, right? See, that's my thing with it. If you're gonna do something, do something. Don't just wrap him up with a little pussy ass hug. Like you're gonna do something, do it. Like flying, elbow,
he was trying to make it look like he wasn't trying to do something. Fighter.
Spinning back hammer fist, like make it worth it.
Spinning back hammer fist. That was just a
spinning back fist that I've seen Paul Felder do.
Spinning back fist. There you go. Hammer fist is down on the ground.
Okay, well, the spinning back fist, yeah.
There you go. Get you learned up yet there, brother. Get you learned up there yet. Matt's giving you some love. Happy birthday to
PJ Tucker's about to get teed up. Damn. Why everybody about to get teed up in this shit? Good Lord, calm the fuck down. Holy hell.
Because they're going to get teed up. That's what they're going to do. They're here to get teed up.
Well, yeah, I could see why he's mad about that one. He didn't do nothing. Durant just lost the ball on the way to the rim. Yeah, that's not a foul.
Yeah. So, are we touching on any Phillies points before we or do we want to continue to let it roll with some more basketball?
I mean, I don't know. Like the Phillies really worth talking about, or
what are you talking about? They're still in second place, right? I think they're only like 3.5 games out of first.
As Ricky Bobby taught us, if you ain't first, you're last.
Oh man, here you go. Okay. And actually, the only reason they're that far ahead is don't the Mets have games at hand because of all the missed games earlier in the season?
Yes, exactly.
So it's probably less.
The problem with that is you've got a down National League East this year, and you're talking about three games out of the division. Now 3 games out of the division. We can't catch a pop up. We can't field a ground ball. We can't throw a guy out across the diamond, and we're still only 3 games out of the division. Like, how am I supposed to be excited about a team that's playing this sloppy of baseball that looks this bad when you watch them in person, which I've seen them in person, right? And then I'm still supposed to be like, oh, well, they're only 3 games out. I don't care if they're 3 games out. Like, this is not what a winning baseball team looks like. Winning baseball teams don't struggle to, they don't give teams extra outs the way that we do, right? Like they don't. I get it. We sweep the Yankees. Everybody gets excited, but I'm still not there. Like this, for me, like this team, like, what a winning baseball team looks like when you watch them with your eyes, and what a bad baseball team looks like with your eyes. And this is an average baseball team at best.
I mean, I think it's fair at this point in time that they're playing average baseball. They haven't played to our expectations this season in any way, shape, or form. I'm just sitting there saying they're hanging around, guys. They're hanging around.
And listen, maybe they put everything together. They go on a huge winning, a big winning streak over the summer, and we change our tune a little bit, which I would love. But it's one of those things where you say, okay, if you could field ground balls, you could catch pop-ups, and you could throw across the diamond and not give teams the extra outs that we've given them all year long.
But here's the thing: all the things you're talking about, Zach,
we probably have a
are all things
3-game
they
lead
can
as
correct.
opposed to being 3 games behind.
But here's the thing: these are all things they can correct.
Can you, bro? We're halfway.
Stop.
It's almost July.
Okay, yes, it is almost July, but these are still things they can
How long
correct.
you been watching baseball though, homie? Like, you know what I mean? Like that ain't shit. Like good baseball teams. Oh, like they can correct that.
Am I sitting there saying that this team's going to win a World Series or anything like that? No. I'm just sitting there saying that they're playing below expectations. I already sat there said that they were a fringe playoff teams at the beginning of the season. I still think that that's what they are. Is that going to change?
That's what they are. But maybe that's why you're that's why you're not out on them, right? Because they're kind of right around what you thought they were going to be at this point in the year. Which
you're out on them because you thought they were winning the damn division.
I don't even think it's that. No, because it's not even that for me. Because I knew that was like lofty expectations. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But my point is, even if I had the expectations that you had, my point is, when I'm watching them with my eyes and you watch them give away all the extra outs they give away, they're a sloppy baseball team. They're not fundamentally sound. They don't run the bases well. They don't do the things that good baseball teams do. It doesn't matter for me how much they're hanging around or how much maybe they would be like, oh, well, like they're kind of meeting my expectations for what I thought they'd be so far. They could be, at this point, they could be a way better team than they are. If they did if they weren't sloppy on defense, if they ran the bases the way a big league team should, if you didn't give away the extra outs that at the rate that you give them away, if you didn't leave guys on base at the rate that we do, all of a sudden you're a team that goes from, oh yeah, we're hanging around and we're 3 games behind, to, we're a team that's got a 3-4 game lead. Maybe you're in a position where you're like, you control your own destiny. You've got a stranglehold on the division. So it doesn't matter for me what your expectations were before the year. It's about what you could be, type of thing, right? Like, we could be much better if we just could field a ground ball and catch a pop-up. It's that simple. We've given away 5 or 6 games this year just by not being able to do that.
Listen, like I said, I still feel that they're going to be right where they're at. They'll be fighting for a potential playoff spot come the end of the season. We have to see them fixing the basic things. As I was putting out there, but wait. As I was putting out there, you want to talk some hockey? Bryce threw it out there,
So yeah, Tampa, New York. So I'm down here in the Tampa area. Go Lightning. Montreal. Yeah, that's been a fun series.
The Canadiens.
The Knights, imagine them going back to the Stanley Cup Finals for like the second time in their 4-year history or whatever it would be. That'd be pretty crazy. Yes, exactly. That's what it is, Matt. Exactly. Ding, ding, ding. Right there, we have a winner. Like, right. Like, it's
that's why you're so hard. But this is why you're so hard on them, and I get that. But this is what I'm sitting there saying that there's still around, because that's something, the little basic things and clean up some things like that. And we've already know where we feel that they have their deficiencies at, and where we feel they need to improve at. We've been beating this drum, pretty much for the last few months, and for us guys that have been watching this team long enough for a few seasons, they're saying you guys are literally a few arms and a utility man away from being a real contender in the NL and possibly a championship based caliber team. They just haven't been able to make
and an elite bullpen arm. I mean, I really honestly believe that, But the problem is, do you have, we looked at our assets. Oh, well, Spencer Howard, make him the centerpiece of a trade package at the deadline for the best pitcher on the market. Well, Spencer Howard can't pitch more than 4 innings at the big league level. So how in the hell, the centerpiece of a trade package, this is what we do. We're in a position where the same conversation we've been having for how long? We can't develop talent. We can't draft. I think we can't identify talent at the amateur level. Then we can't develop talent at the amateur level. And, therefore we have nobody that comes through our system that's ever worth a damn. And until that changes, it's really going to be hard, to do much of anything. Like you can't trade for anybody when you don't have anybody in your system worth a damn. And that's really where we're at right now.
It sucks when
Scott Kingery. Ooh, like, oh my God. It's just, see, you laugh. Like, it's not like, it's just bad. Like, Spencer Howard doesn't even get your nipples hard no more. Like, he was getting our nipples hard last year, Now I can't even get a half chub on. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus Christ. Like, Alec Boehm, he went from like, the next Chris Bryant to a guy where you're just like, he's speaking of people that can't field a ground ball or throw a ball across the diamond. Holy hell.
Oh man, Bryce, me, Zach, Tom. I think everyone has been beaten. We've broken the drum, my friend.
I don't have a Dominican stud that's ever come through my system ever. And people be like, "Oh, what is going to be Dominican?" Because they come out of the womb with the baseball bat and a glove in their fucking hands. Like that's how it works. Like it's literally the national pastime. It's like soccer in Europe, right? Like literally. Like I'm not even trying to we're being accurate here, right? Like, but from the time that like you're a little kid in a place like the Dominican Republic, you play baseball, you're groomed to play baseball. Like that's what it is. Like that is what the sport is over there. And when was the last time we've signed anybody out of there that's been worth anything at all? Odubel Herrera was a complete accident, by the way, right? He was like a Rule 5 guy. He didn't even come through our system, right? Like we signed him out of somebody else's organization. So he doesn't even count to me because it's like, it wasn't like we signed him. It wasn't like our amateur scouting department went out and signed the kid at 16 and identified him at an amateur level. And that's not what happened. He wasted away a bunch of time at somebody else's organization. And then we said, okay, we've got nobody at our level. We were a really bad big league team at that point. And you take him in a Rule 5 pick and he turns into be a guy. Okay, great. That's a good, it's a solid, great. So we can scout at the professional level. We just can't scout at the amateur level, Steven. We just suck at amateur scouting.
You just can't find that rose that'll bloom and bud. I don't know what to say about our scouting department. If I could put a finger on it and if the baseball gods could give us something, man, give us a scout that knows what he's doing, please.
If they handed out awards, if they handed out minor league organization of the year awards for teams that drafted and tried to develop undersized white kids, I'll tell you what, we would be we'd win the award every single year. I mean, how many Mickey Moniacs and Scott Kingerys, do we have just floating around our system? Luke Williams is another one. Like, kid, you speak of, the kid looks like he could be a nice super utility player for you, right? But like, that's what our system is full of. It's full of Scott Kingerys, Mickey Moniacs, and Luke Williams. Like, that's what's floating around the system, homie. That's what we've got. Like how many times are we going to draft the 6 foot, 185-pound white kid that what do you think he's going to develop into? Is he going to become the next Craig Biggio? Like at some point, like, can I get can there be somebody that looks like a player? Can you draft a kid where you're like, Alex Boehm, I like Boehm, but like he's a kid that you like everything. You like his makeup, everything about him, 6'5", 230, big, strong kid, gives you a professional approach at the plate. I still think offensively he could be a nice player for you, but you got to find somewhere for him to play defense because he's not a major league third baseman. He's just not. But like
at the moment he is. He never I know Bombs. You're still rough on him, but dude, come on, man.
He's still young. I still like him, but the point is, if that's the best your system has to offer. And then
what you're saying is he can't be the ceiling. You're saying he can't be the ceiling anymore. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, like that can't be the ceiling of what your system can produce. No, absolutely not.
That should be your floor. That should be your floor at the moment, right? Moving
the
forward.
Good organizations are popping out players like Alec Boehm. Like, if we're just being honest, like again, I like Boehm, but the good organizations are popping out players like him, every year. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about the Tigers. I live down here in Lakeland, right? And the Lakeland Tigers are the low A. They're one of the lower minor league affiliates of Detroit. And they've got a kid named Spencer Torkelson that was the top pick in the draft last year that was tearing it up down here. and just got promoted to Double
That's a
A.
name.
And just hit another home run today. Spencer Torkelson. I don't care what his name is. Great. The kid can flat out rake, right? But like, you look at the Cardinals, you look at teams like that, like, organizations like that who just pop out these kids every single year. The Braves have a sexy minor league system, it seems like, all the time. Look at the Blue Jays. I mean, I posted something on my Facebook about Vlad Jr.'s numbers all of a sudden, right? Like, Vlad Jr.'s got, he's got better numbers this year than his daddy did at any point, in any season throughout his career, which is saying something because daddy could flat out rake. You want to talk about sexy ball players, right? You want to talk about guys that made your nipples hard. Vladimir Guerrero, Vladimir Guerrero was a guy that you watched play baseball and you were like, yeah, that guy. Like, yeah, give me, I need him on my team, right? I want him. That's a guy that could play the game, right? Like Vlad Jr.'s doing shit that daddy couldn't do, and daddy was a hell of a ball player. We talk about Craig Biggio. They've got Biggio's kid in that system. Go look at he's up at the big league level raking, right? They've got Bo Bichette, right? Dante's kid that's raking at the big league level. Like, these good organizations, like the Alec Boehms are a dime a dozen in their system, and it's literally the best we can give you.
They absolutely have to do better in that department, but I still think it's a little bit early to completely throw it in on the season. I know they're not giving you much to go on right now, and your eyes are showing you what they're showing you,
no, I just think it's more like, all right, great, so they sneak into the playoffs, but what can you give me? Like. We all know you're not winning a World Series.
It's a step forward. That's all. That's what they're giving you. They're giving you a step forward, my friend.
Is it a step forward? A step forward would be Dombrowski making a move at the deadline to make me feel like we've become better, and now we go make the playoffs, and then I also feel like we can build something for next year. That would be a step forward, which I don't. I'm not saying that can't happen because I think Dombrowski's that guy, right? That's what he's here for. He's evaluating this situation in every way, from every angle, and he's going to find a way to do something for us at the deadline, right? Whether it's a starting pitcher, whether it's a bullpen guy, whatever the case might be, it's probably easier to get a bullpen guy, right? If you don't have the sexy names in your system to go out and trade for a top of the rotation guy, it becomes a little bit easier to probably pull the trigger and make a trade to get like an elite bullpen guy. It's going to cost a little bit less. You know what I mean? Like, you could probably find the pieces in your system to go get an elite bullpen guy. I don't know if we have the pieces in our system to get me another top of the rotation starter.
I agree, but you could probably get away with a mid-tier back end arm too. Just
a Joe Blanton type.
Exactly. That was the move that helped us that year, right?
Yeah, I just feel like we were a much more complete team that year, and that's why
we're a much more complete team that year too. And speaking of that team, I forgot to ask you something. I know you were a big Ryan Howard guy. Obviously, you're a big Chase guy. That you heard he was named in the latest PED scandal, right?
He wasn't saying PEDs. He just said cheaters. I mean, and the main topic that got that whole conversation going, he was talking mainly, or at least a lot, about all the organizations that were doing the sign stealing type of stuff. And he called out the Royals, saying that the Kansas City team, the one that won the World Series in 2015, he was like they were one of the first, to his knowledge, to have like an advanced, camera type system like that, where it was set up in the dugout and they were able to relay signs and yada 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 yada. But he was, to me, it's not news. You know my theory on all this, Steven. Like, they all cheat. That's baseball since the beginning of time. That's why Babe Ruth was injecting sheep testosterone, into his ass, back in 1927, because he was trying to find a way to get a net. Like, if Babe Ruth is trying to cheat in 1927, everybody's trying to cheat in baseball. It's just the way. And so, me, like, to me, like, I just kind of chuckled at it. I was like, yeah, that's because Chase Utley. What do we always say about Chase Utley? How smart he is, how crafty. That doesn't surprise me. Chase Utley looks like a guy that's the king at being able to cheat and get away with it. It's not cheating unless I get caught. That's a Chase Utley mentality right there. Chase Utley's that type of ball player. You can't tell me he's not. You're a cheater. You can't prove it. Well, damn right. You're damn right. I can't prove it. Well, then I'm not cheating. Yeah, and Chase kind of seems like a guy that's smart enough to able to whatever he was doing to get an edge, whatever he was doing to kind of get an edge on everybody, he was probably smart enough to be able to do it without anybody really becoming suspicious of it and get away with it. But again, that's baseball. Like that's always been baseball. That's why I just use the term getting an edge. For me, it's about, getting an edge. It's not even cheating. Everybody's trying to get an edge. Some are a little bit better at getting an edge than others, but they're all trying to do the same shit. And that's why I'm not like, to this day, I'm not a guy that rips the Astros because I knew other teams were doing it. It's not, it's not surprising to me that the Royals had a system like that. Obviously we learned that Carlos Beltran was the guy that, that told the Astros, hey, you guys are way out of date with your system. And he brought over something he learned with the Rangers and with the Yankees, right? And started doing it with Houston. So how many other teams are doing it? We all, it's, you're not going to fool me. I'm not an idiot. Like, don't insult my intelligence. I know they all would probably doing it. Like now, when you win, when you're doing it and you win more than everybody else does and you're doing it, teams get a little bit, pissed off about the fact that we're all trying to do the same shit and you guys are doing it a little bit better than we are and yada, 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 yada. And there's gamesmanship involved with it. But I'm not like it. That's not news to me. I just found it interesting more than anything else. Like, I think I even posted on social media, like, when are people going to like, because I saw all these people like, no, Chase is one of the most blue collar guys ever. He would never cheat. Like, stop it. Like, you guys are like a bunch of grown men acting like fucking elementary school children. Like, how hard is it to just accept the fact that this is what pro sports is? This is what pro athletes do. Like, everybody cheats. They're all trying to find a way to get an edge. And that's at every level of pro sports and every pro sport that there is, not just baseball. But, in this situation, we just happen to be talking about baseball. Right. But like, I think that was more like, yeah, like good, like even more of a reason why Chase is awesome type of thing. That's what that is for me. Where there's too many people like, no, I don't want to accept it because then like, Chase can't be my hero anymore because, he's a cheater. Like, you act like a child who like doesn't want to accept the fact that like people aren't going to fucking cheat in pro sports. Like, if you just accept the fact that everybody's cheating and this is what people do because it's $1 billion industry and like it's either, you find a way to get an edge or you get the fuck out. Dog eat dog type of mentality, right? Once you take that mindset to it and you realize that's just how it goes, you're not going to feel any type of way about it.
Our guest is trying to get in, but every time she logs in, our guest is trying to get in, but every time she logs in, it's like a blank screen. So I'm trying to like.
I can see you doing that over there. I knew that's what you were doing. That's how I was trying to carry it.
I'm trying to walk her through it, but like she's like lives in the country.
Well,
so
I'm
like
here for you, Steven.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate you.
You can tell me to shut up whenever you need me to shut up, and you need to talk and get your point across. But when you need me to talk and carry you. I can do that too.
Always count on you to be there, brother. Always.
That's what I do, bro. I'm one of the 6 friends carrying your casket.
we can get this figured out here in a minute. I don't know. She lives like in the country, so it's not like.
Although I'm gonna need some help because I don't think I'm strong enough to carry it.
Really? I'm not that big. I'm only like 230, brother. I'm not that big.
Well, but I'm also like. I'm the guy that benches the bar at the gym when I'm.
He's like, no weights. The bar's good enough.
We got 100 pounds. Give me the bar, right? Yeah. I think I've done 1 rep at like $120 or something. Like I think we were in high school. We were trying to work out when I was in like my best athletic shape, and we put like 120-pound weight or something on each side. So maybe it was like $140 that I benched, but I think I maybe got it up like once. Like, and it's like, I benched my weight. I was like 138 pounds at the time. Yeah, you got it up one time. Outside of that, if I actually wanted to do any type of serious reps, I had to bench the bar. I'm a resistance band guy, Steven. If I'm working out there, like resistance band type of shit, Well,
it's not that bad, you as long as you're using the right ones, the right color ones to put the right weight. Like if that's what you prefer to use, like some people would rather do it that way over, the weights. They feel it's better for them. And trust me, I know what they are. I've done plenty of PT with that, so I know what them resistance bands are all about.
I've had physical therapists tell me it's actually better for your joints and everything than like lifting actual weights is. It's like one of those things that's like, some of these people believe that like. I guess it's better for your joints, your muscles, like your flexibility, all that type of stuff. And like, I don't know. I didn't really have a choice in the matter. I guess it was just, it was. I did it because if I wanted to work out, that's how I had to do it. But I guess I could see the logic behind it too. Like Phil Mickelson, like he's real into all that type of shit, like the calisthenics and all that, and he was always in the resistance bands and shit like that. And going back 10, 15 years now, is one of the early guys on the PGA Tour to get into it. And he claims that he grew an inch. He claims that through all the stretching, he actually became an inch taller than he was like in his earlier years. He said, when I was 25, I was like 6'2". He's like, now that I'm 40, I'm like 6'3". He's like, I literally he's like, I can't explain it. He's like, but I'm like an inch taller than I used to be.
Hey, if he believes that and more power.
He could just be a little bit of a crazy, like some of these all-time greats, right? They're a little bit fucking, a little bit nuts, right? But hey.
Well, I want to switch it up real fast since we couldn't get Miss Coffman on, and she was having some internet issues or whatever. We can try to see if we can get her rescheduled, whatever. However that'll work out over the next few weeks and months to see how that goes. I don't know. Did you see the picture of Lane Johnson that came out? He looks absolutely in shape. Did you see that?
Are you talking about that one? Or are you talking about Lane Johnson or Jason Kelsey?
No, we'll talk about Kelsey in a minute. We'll talk about.
I saw the one with Jason Kelsey and like the fucking Dukes of Hazzard, like Daisy Dukes, like holy hell! Like,
yo, first and foremost, Jason Kelsey is a motherfucking national treasure in Philadelphia. That is the end of the story.
Yeah, he's all-time GOAT status in this city.
Yes, absolutely. Like, dude, Kelsey and Lane Johnson, once their career's over, like they would probably like never ever have to buy a drink in this town ever.
Get it, Jan? Oh, they stripped him.
Ever.
I'm out.
But yeah, man, you have to say, offensive line wise, if they're able to actually be healthy up front, that could still be a top 5 offensive line in the NFL.
Well, of course, that's going to dictate a lot, right? I mean, that's of course that always.
I know,
does.
But it also, I still think Jordan Mailata will ascend next season, but that's just my personal opinion.
Did you see they were talking about that? There was already an article out there talking about the competition that is going on at left tackle between Dillard and Mailata.
Hey, listen, I guarantee you, them boys are going to be dogging each other, and I love it. I love it.
Competition's always good.
You need to do something to get the dog out of Andre Dillard, man, because it seems
like
James
Harden really just there was a jump ball between Giannis and James Harden, and James Harden won the jump ball.
Hey, don't effort, man. Don't ever put effort out of people, man.
Oh no, dude, they just called a foul on that. Steven, this is fixed, Steven.
Up. You had to bring it up, so the NFC East Beast had to answer with your with your
just using Chinese tape measure. Yeah, I'm with you. It is quite embarrassing that I cannot bench press. I didn't listen. I wasn't trying to defend it. I wasn't trying to make it seem like it wasn't like a total embarrassment. I was just saying.
I think you openly admitted that it was embarrassment. He said
Steven knows it. Like I have no problem admitting how much of an embarrassment my life is. My life is a total shit show. It just is what it is.
I'm with you there, brother. We make the best of it.
You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's amazing. That's a foul. No. How is that not a foul? Yeah, this is some bullshit, Steven.
Are the zebras up to it again, my friend?
Yo, I swear to God.
Are the zebras up to it again?
Now, Blake, well, what happened? What happened to Blake? What did he take a dive? What a piece of shit. Nobody even touched him.
Oh, I love you, brother.
PJ Tucker smacked him right in the face. Get him, PJ. Yeah, he did. He smacked him. Bow, right across the nose. Well, all I know is some dude got like shoved out of bounds from Milwaukee was trying to rebound it, and some dude from Milwaukee got shoved out of bounds trying to rebound the ball, and they didn't call a foul.
Shall see, right?
Oh, you mean Blake Griffin actually touched it? It's not off Milwaukee? Look at that. You sure that wasn't a foul?
So it looks like the main event is here for the UFC, and we're getting to it. Korean
Steven,
Zombie.
we are the main event.
We are the main event.
Me and you, we're the main event.
Well, I mean, Saturday night primetime. How you can not get more main event than that? We're the pay-per-view, my friend. We're who y'all came to pay to see tonight. Appreciate y'all.
Chris Middleton stinks. How you missing a jumper from the free throw line?
We've seen it a lot. Have you not seen Philadelphia basketball over the last week?
But that was way short. Again, Chris Middleton stinks. I think that was Middleton. I can't even see who the fuck shot it.
So what are your general feel on the game? You know, the first just about hour into it. Yeah, are you feeling a Nets win?
I mean, they're playing tight basketball. Milwaukee needs to shoot the ball a little bit better if they want to win. That's my takeaway. I think right now in the first half is Milwaukee. They've had their opportunities. They're just not shooting the ball well enough from the floor to. I guess. I mean, it's a 5-point game, so I don't even want to say like they're in the game, obviously. But I think they could be winning the game right now if they were shooting better, and they're just not. And right now they're just ice cold. Another miss that looked like Holiday. Holiday, I think, missed that one. That's the problem here with Brooklyn. Like, you let him stick around,
But actually, as we got a few minutes before Miss Maverick should be joining us at 30 after. So, but real quick, since we have a few moments. Got the fame here. Want to let you guys know, if you guys haven't done it already, make sure you guys are heading over and checking out the A2D premium membership over there on YouTube. That's $9.99 a month. Perks are going to be including appearances on the shows, member only live streams, shout outs, weekly sports picks from our boys over at the Money Pot podcast. And let's also not forget that I'm also working on my little giveaway for the rest of this month. Anyone who does the A2D premium membership, let me know, screenshot, do whatever, message me, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Or if you use any of A2D's codes, whether it's the Manscaped code or the Body Check code, screenshot me that you've used the code. I'll enter you into one of our giveaways. I got some signed pucks, some 8x10s. I got some jerseys. I got signed posters. I got some things I want to give away to you guys. Just let me know. You're supporting the fam, supporting us, supporting what we do. You guys are always hopping in here in the chat, showing us love. Show us a little bit of love. I'm going to be giving back to our loyal supporters, our loyal listeners who always are got our back. Like Zach always got my back. Like Tom's always got our back. Like the rest of the fam will always have everyone's back over here at A2D. Got to show them love, right,
dude? Milwaukee hasn't scored a point in 3 minutes. And Giannis was at the foul line and just missed 2 free throws, including airballing the second.
So it looks like we're pushing towards that Nets win tonight, huh?
If that keeps happening, see what I'm saying? Holy hell!
And that'll be Zach's worst nightmare at this point in time. At least for the Sixers side of your mind, right?
Yeah, because I think Kyrie's back, and if Kyrie's back, I'm now where. I mean, yes, it's just Simmons isn't playing at a high enough level right now, like for him to be able to shut down Kyrie Irving or anything like that. So, yeah, it worries me.
And the Korean Zombie and Dana Ainge is underway. That main event there on ESPN too. Let's see which Korean Zombie shows up tonight.
Islanders have a 1-0 lead against Tampa. They just scored.
Zachary, your beloved Lightning are gonna fall.
You know, Lightning, they've got so much talent. Think about the talent they're able to produce through their system, and then like imagine how jealous it made. Like as a Flyers fan, you're like, why can't the Flyers? Like we were talking about the Phillies not being able to produce talent, right? Flyers, same thing. Like, oh, like the best, Claude Giroux's the best you've been able to produce in the past 15 years, and like the Lightning have like 5 guys that they've come through their system that is like, just take Giroux's lunch money, right? Like Stamkos, Kucherov, Braden Point's turned into a pimp.
Oh, yeah,
Vasilevsky's probably the best goalie in hockey, right? Like,
I forgot that was happening. Like Anderson Silva's exhibition boxing matches versus.
I did see the other dude. Like didn't make weight or something, so he has to pay Anderson Silva like $100,000 or something stupid. I don't know what the fuck that is. A weird fucking stipulation. How desperate is Anderson Silva for money?
Well, I don't know. That's desperate for money, man. He's a martial artist to its truest form. If you really think about it, he's the performer of all performers. He literally testing himself, clowning around, joking, playing games, got himself knocked out and lost his title. Come on, stop. He needs money. The guy literally ruled the UFC with an iron fist for the better part of freaking 10 years.
Oh, I'm sorry. Giannis missed he airballed the first one. Then there was a timeout. So now we're shooting the second free throw here. Let's see if he can make it.
And the weight thing that's kind of that's cool that he got he got that much out of it for what was it Chavez Jr. missing weight. But most times when you look at it, like when you miss weight, athletic commissions make you have, in order for the fight to take place, the opponent has to give up. It's normally like 20% of their purse, so that's probably what you're. Why you see the large dollar man? He probably got paid a decent amount, and that's probably just 20% of what it was.
Yo, Brooklyn's about to run away with this thing if Milwaukee doesn't fucking stop this run soon.
So the Nets are rolling, according to Mr. Burr.
Yeah, Brook Lopez or whoever that, I think it was Brook Lopez. Yeah, Brook Lopez. His brother Robin, is he still playing? No, Brook just scored to stop the run, but Brooklyn was missing a bunch of shots. Now Durant's getting going again. He just knocked down a 3 and just hit a runner. So.
And I gotta say,
got an 8-point lead. Milwaukee, like I said, Milwaukee hadn't been able to knock down jump shots, and they're not hitting the 3 or anything like that. So, like, Brooklyn's got an 8-point lead, and it's just one of those things where right now Milwaukee's not playing well enough offensively to be able to do anything to cut into that lead. You know what I mean? Like, it's they're just going to chip away at it, but need to be able to shoot the ball from the perimeter. Can't go 3 minutes without scoring and expect to win a playoff game. Yelling us at the line again, taking a full fucking minute to shoot.
So NFC East Beast going to drop in with this one. What are your thoughts on that? It has to be Nurse Rivers, not Doc Rivers no more.
Maybe a nurse's assistant. Like, I don't even know. My mom was a nurse. I think that's disrespectful to my mother, Steven, even though I don't give a fuck. But I think it was disrespectful to my mother and all nurses around the world. Yeah.
Are you going on a triggered nurse rant? Is that what you were about to do right there?
He's the secretary in the hospital that's taking your information as you come there to let you know, this is my injury. Okay, well, sit down there. We'll call you when you're ready. Like, it's your turn to be seen by a doctor.
He's like, all right, I got a better one for you. It's Patient Rivers.
Maybe that. There you go. That's good. Okay, now we're speaking.
He's on the other side of it. You used to be a doctor. You can't be a doctor no more. You're just a patient now.
What was that? Drew Holiday just shot a 3 that hit nothing but the top of the backboard. Like, oh my God. Like, yo, I've seen JV teams with better jump shots than this. And one for James Harden. This is about to get ugly. That's what you get for airballing a 3. Yeah, it's a foul.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna kick it off and change gears real fast because our guest for this evening is here. And without any further ado, we are being joined by UFC flyweight Miss Maranda Maverick. How are we doing this afternoon, my friend?
Doing great, thanks. Hello.
So how are things on your end? You know, we're about getting the last few rounds out of this main event here. Are you watching the fight tonight?
I'm not watching the fights tonight, unfortunately. I have too much work and school to do.
Oh, what are you going to school for now?
Industrial psychology, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, there you go. What brought you into that field?
I started psychology and sociology as an undergraduate and was always interested in the business avenues of psychology. So took it to more of employee analytics and things of that sort. So I deal with employee satisfaction, how to train leadership, how to develop leadership for the best organizational outcomes, pretty much.
Hey, there you go. Got to make sure you get the education going on outside the cage as well. You've been obviously you've been making the name for yourself in the cage through Invicta, obviously through the UFC now. You got another big fight coming here on the 24th. Maycee Barber is going to be definitely be a fun one. How excited are you for this matchup?
I'm pretty excited. At first, it was the only girl basically that I asked to not be matched against throughout the whole flyweight division. And that's just because I think it's a really great fight, but should have waited until further down the line so that it doesn't bump, the young ones down the line, regardless of who wins or loses. Like Maycee, if I win, like she's going to be bumped down the line a little bit when in reality, I think she's a good prospect for the division. And that's exactly what the division needs. And unfortunately, there's just a bunch of stagnant fighters within the flyweight division. But I am really excited for this fight. I think we're going to put on a hell of a show. We're both fighters that give our all in the cage, and I'm really looking forward to that battle.
And I definitely agree with your assessment with that one. And I know where you're coming from with that because, you have a lot of veterans who kind of already kind of made their names, and they're kind of just hanging around. Where the UFC is kind of bringing in a lot of the newer, younger, up and coming fighters who probably don't have more than 15 fights total in their career. And what you're kind of saying is you don't want to be matched up is because you want these younger stars to kind of continue to build. Well, you would probably prefer to see some more of the veterans getting matched up against some of the younger talents like yourself, like Maycee. Was exactly. That kind of where you're going with that? And I agree, I totally agree. Like you do have some stagnant names in there. You do have some people that are hanging around. Whatever the case that may be for that reason. Yes, it's going to be a fun matchup. I agree. It probably should have been, maybe another year away before you two should even, been having the name put across in the fight sheet. But that's the nature of the beast. That's how the UFC goes sometimes. You don't always wind up kind of getting the matchup you want, and sometimes it's more like who's available, and it was more like she was probably be the one that was available at your weight class at that time when you wanted to fight as well. Because go ahead.
It could be. I just feel like it was one of those fan fights. Everybody was hoping that we get matched together. It is a good fight as far as if you want a barn burner, that's the one to throw in there, two young up-and-comers that have a lot of fire in them. But like I said, I think it just should have waited down the line. But I think there's a lot of reasons they made it happen. I think it's been in the plans for a while. Even the first time I met Maycee, they kind of set it up and videotaped us and everything else. So I think we both knew what was coming down the line.
Yeah, it's one of the things like when you got that the promotion is kind of like they have the hots for a matchup, and it's like when they can make it happen, it's like I guess like especially with July is always their the big prime time. They like to put some of these big fights together. So in retrospect, it's also kind of a nod to you guys that they want to put this one together, and they feel it may not be on that 4th of July card, but being in that July matchup, that always speaks volumes for those athletes who compete there, because that's where they always like to put their best fighters, their best matchups.
That's fair. I do wish it was on a pay-per-view, just for the exposure for that crowd to have. I know that the fight nights for pretty much the rest of the year they're trying to do in Vegas without a crowd, or at least limited. So that's unfortunate, but I am happy. I'm hoping to be on the main card. I don't think they've quite released the card yet. Maybe they have. I haven't kept up with that quite yet, but excited to go in there and just put on a show regardless of what card I'm on.
I mean, I hope that you guys get on the main one, because like I said, it's one of the things where I always feel that more often than not the female athletes kind of show out when it comes to the fights. Especially in that matters. I mean, we seen it again last night with Gamebred's fight. He had his bare knuckle MMA promotion debut last night, and the women stole the show, in my opinion. So I mean, it's not nothing new for me. So I'll always be happy to see you guys get that top billing and getting the more eyes on you. So you've already kind of paved your way to kind of get there. You've already put the work in. You went through Invicta. You're now here in the UFC. You've kind of built your way up. So you're getting your chance to shine now. I'm really excited for the matchup. I'm really excited for the potential outcome. You're one of these fighters who are the future of this division. And I guess we'll see what happens when you guys are going to get in there on the 24th. Are there any expectations? Like, how do you see this fight playing out in your head?
I don't want to give away the game plan too much.
Oh, no, I understand game plan, like what your envisionment is. Without any game plans.
I envision Maycee's going to be out there trying to make a point. She has 2 losses already in a row. She definitely doesn't want a third one. I know that. She obviously took the fight against me because she thinks she has some edge, or beating me is something to prove. And I'm going into that fight with that in mind. I expect her to come out there just guns a-blazing, trying to get me to make mistakes. And I think she's going to be surprised that I won't make as many mistakes as she's hoping. I think there will be a lot of stand-up involved, a lot of ground and pound, and also probably a lot of cage work, the way that I've seen her fight before.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be a fun, gritty fight. I think she if she thinks she's gonna get you to make a mistake, like, listen, she's gonna be the one that's gonna come out with, I think she's gonna come out guns a blazing, and like you said, she's gonna be trying to make a point, but she's also, I don't want to go home. I don't want to get cut type of thing, and sometimes when you do that, you tend to make mistakes. And I think you'll be the one tendency to looking for the mistakes more than she will. And it's up to you to be able to capitalize on those small windows. We know how it is in MMA. Anything can happen. 4-ounce gloves is not much. And, I think the fun part is now, like, you guys are getting ready to get ready for this thing when this fight comes all through. And now, what are some of the things that you're looking forward to outside of this matchup? Like, obviously we're getting into this part where COVID is now open up. I know you guys, the schooling, you're going on. What are some of the other things that you're looking forward to getting into this summer?
I'm mainly focused on just school training, and I have a part-time job right now. So just keeping up with all that, making sure my nose is to the grindstone. And after this fight, look into what the next rankings hold for me, look into the next fight that I can call out and kind of get on my roster and kind of make some changes in my game plans and my techniques that I go into, always improving. My hobby is what I do, so I go into the gym and Luckily, I get to have fun when I'm not in fight camp and get to go in there and just learn new stuff. Whereas fight camp, you don't really learn new stuff in fight camp. You purely rep and you get your fitness level where it needs to be. You learn in between fights. And I think a lot of fighters lack that. When people ask them what they're going to do outside fight camp, they're like, oh, go to the beach, go do this. That's why you don't improve in between, is because they only show up for the fight camps.
And that's touching on something that me and Zach were talking about earlier, where we're talking about Ben Simmons. We were talking about it, just his pure lack of just willingness to improve on certain things in his game in basketball. And it's so funny.
They don't have the ability to do it. It's just they don't want to.
It's so funny you bring that up, because there's something we were literally just talking about for a better part of 30 minutes. And we've seen in the fight world so much. It's like you get complacent with who you are, and you feel that, whether it's entitlement, arrogance, or whatever, some people get complacent and they don't feel they need to improve. They just feel they just need to maintain and keep where they're at. It's fighters like you who are just consistently finding I just sharpened this knife up. Gotta find a new one. Let's sharpen this one now.
Mm-hmm.
When you have that athlete that's always looking to kind of be the sponge and just soak up anything that they can, that's probably the more dangerous person outside of the more athletic person, outside of who's the more gifted fighter, whatever. The person who's going to put that extra effort into to kind of obtain that knowledge is going to be the more dangerous person, I feel, when it comes downtime to close the cage door, to get in the ring, whatever your poison is that month. Because obviously, when we're looking around the sport, I got to ask your thoughts on this. You see everyone bouncing around. This one wants to do boxing. This one wants to do bare knuckle boxing now. This person's doing that now. What are your thoughts on how much the sport's changed over the last few years since since you came in, in the last 4 or 5 years? What are your thoughts on where it's been since you started and kind of where it's going to now? Are you happy where it's going, or do you feel there's anything that maybe you're sitting there saying the fans are asking for fights, but maybe they could demand some changes that happen in some of the way that even we go about as what we look for in the combat sports world?
To be honest, I think the MMA is an entertainment industry. At the end of the day, everything's an entertainment industry. If you want to act like it's not, then you're living in a false reality, and we do whatever the fans like, what they want, and we also do what we can to make money. So like this mixture and evolution of MMA going into bare knuckle, this evolution of MMA fighters calling out boxers and vice versa, like everybody's doing what they can to make a paycheck, and everybody's doing obviously what draws fans. We see that through the money. We see that through the viewers and things like that. So even if it's not the traditional martial arts or the respectful what martial arts is supposed to be like that was never what MMA was created to be anyway. It wasn't a traditional salutation type of sport. It's a sport where you get in there and grind it out and do the best you can in raw combat. And I think they're just kind of showing that it can be in very different ways, and also the evolution within MMA since I've started has been amazing. I mean, I remember when I started, I needed to be a 115er to even get in the UFC. And I was scared to death because I'm not a natural 115er. I was going to have to lose muscle weight at the age of 19, and it was hurting me trying to cut weight for Invicta. I missed weight. And eventually the 125-pound division came in, and I was like, thank goodness, I get to finally fight at my full potential. And so that has happened. Other divisions have really grown. New promotions come up. One champion is coming up with these different hybrid ones. Bellator has really involved the women's MMA aspect. A lot of different organizations that have really helped the sport as a whole. But I hear a lot of martial artists and MMA fighters that are like, this is such a joke, all these boxing things. I'm like, at the end of the day, it's helping the sport. So
here's my side on that. If you didn't see that side of this coming when Dana and Vince McMahon had these public meetings like well over 10 years ago, like, oh, why is Dana White meeting with Vince McMahon on a regular basis for the better part of 2.5 years? Because they were both modeling things after one another. Oh, okay. Like if you don't think there's entertainment involved in combat sports, you're absolutely out of your mind. The only difference is between between combat sports and WWE, what you guys do and go in there isn't scripted. It's actually real. Just the other side of it is entertainment. It's a show, and some people got that long ago. Muhammad Ali got it 50 years ago. Come on, people, stop. Is it fun? Yes. Is some of it, you don't know, like, are there some purists that are going to be upset? I mean, in some sense, I'll always be a purist, but I'm a realist and understand that things change, the sports change, it grows. Like, if you're upset about what's happening, be upset about it. Be upset about the people giving the guys the paychecks, not the people who are allowing it, who just kind of make that whole thing go.
Right.
At the end of the day, we want to be entertained. If that's what you're paying to go be entertained by, that's what you're paying to be go entertained by. If you're upset by Jake Paul sitting there fighting this person or that person, don't buy it. We all have our ice cream, our own flavor ice cream. It's the same thing with combat sports. We have our own type of flavor when it comes to you might not really care for bare knuckle boxing. You may prefer MMA over. You may prefer, some people or will always be boxing heads. So like it kind of be that forever debate. I just think like at the end of the day, we all know what we're signing up for when it comes to combat sports anymore. It's not a secret. It's not anything like that. I just think enjoy what you have while you can. If you got the lightning in bottle, cap that thing off and run with it and take it as far as you can, because we've seen it so many times where especially in the combat sports world, it doesn't last long at all. So if you're able to capture the imagination of your country, the world, etc., take it and run it as far as you can. Ronda Rousey had a real small window, but you could see she had a profound effect on women's combat sports. Mm-hmm. And you've seen that from other aspects on the men's side of thing. Even Conor McGregor in the small time that we're starting to see him kind of make the combat sports world in the cage catch up to him. But outside of the cage, he made a profound effect and took not just UFC but combat sports to another level. We'll see what happens when the next Conor McGregor comes around, when the next Ronda Rousey comes around. When obviously, and we need to stop saying Ronda Rousey so much, because Amanda Nunes does deserve a lot more respect than she does get, at least in the public world.
Right. Maybe that's the case. I feel like Amanda Nunes has gotten a lot of respect, at least from where I come from what I see all over social media and stuff. She is the GOAT. People call her that. I'll always give respect to Ronda Rousey for pioneering the sport, though, in a lot of ways. Of course, there were many before her, many ahead of her who have pioneered the sport as well. But as far as getting it on as public of a platform as it is with the UFC, with Bellator, I give Ronda Rousey a lot of that credit. Whether she hung through the ages or not, like people that hate on that, I'm like, she won a lot. I'm sorry she finally lost. And did she have a bad attitude about it? Maybe. Guess what? She went somewhere else where she's making millions of dollars instead of a couple grand. Like, you can't hate on somebody for doing something that doesn't cause them as much pain, but yet gets them more success. So
I mean, anyone who paid attention were kind of seeing the writing on the wall. Like, if you paid attention to her story, she kind of gets to a point and gets burnt out with it and kind of walks away and finds another thing.
Yep.
She did the same thing with the Olympics. She did the same thing with the UFC. She'll want to do the same thing with the WWE. And hopefully, when she gets done with that, she just moves on and enjoys her life.
Yep. Exactly.
And as far as women's combat sports have come so far, I want to get your thoughts of, would you like to see them? You're talking about your struggles when you first came in. There are a lot women who are a lot lighter, a lot smaller, and there's still one more weight class I think that people would like to see, and that's that 105 weight class. Would you like to see that kind of? I mean, I'm not saying anything is going on in the UFC. I was just saying in generalized, seeing a lot more of that weight class being used on some of these bigger platforms. Your ONE FCs, your Bellator MMA, Combates, whoever wants to kind of push that. Would you like to kind of see that weight class get a little bit more eyes in the forefront?
It's hard for me to not push any weight classes. You even see PFL with the 155 with Clarissa Shields, Kayla Harrison, that they're trying to get to cut down to 145 and fight at that point so that they can be in the MMA world, because it's such a scarce weight class. I think obviously they're not only protecting those fighters, I don't want to say that. They're obviously two of the best in the world, but they're trying to build them up to where eventually I'm sure we'll see them fight each other. That's one weight division. The 105ers, of course, I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of people I watch and a lot of fighters that I've trained with that are 105ers. So, of course, I wish the UFC would expand, but I also understand the business standpoint, just like they have in the 145-pound division. Like, it's so small. It's so diluted, I guess you'd say. Like, it's very hard to find people. Like, you have the top in the world. We already know who they are from ONE and from Invicta, because that's just about the only promotions that have them. And there's like 5 of them that hang in the top few, and the rest just kind of hang in that bottom bit. And Invicta keeps coming up with more and more, but it's hard to convince the UFC that they need a whole division when it's already hard to find a top 10, top 15.
Yeah, and then when you see a lot of the other side of that is what you're talking, like maybe people don't like hiding from being the top in that division, but maybe they just frustrated with the opportunities and they just I have had enough. I'm just going to go to strawweight.
Right.
I'll just put on the.
I know a person personally that's like that, Jin Fry. Like, she has had that issue, and now she's at 115, and she's facing a lot more adversity because she's smaller, even though she's trying to build the muscle for it. Like, it really sucks for people like that, and I can totally understand because I was in the same boat wanting a 125-pound division there for a while. So, yeah, I think they should give it a chance, honestly, just like they have 145.
Yeah, you think now Invicta just did the tournament. You think within the next year or two, the UFC should look into doing something like they did with some of the other weight classes, having an Ultimate Fighter, something to that effect.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think that TUF, the Ultimate Fighter, would be a good opportunity. But again, from the business standpoint, you look at Invicta, who tried to find only 8 girls. Only 8 girls they tried to find for that tournament, and they had to find several that were having their first fight or only a couple fights as a pro. It's hard to convince to do a TUF fight when you can't even find 8 to 10 girls that have a decent record so far.
I mean, I remember, like, it's rough when you're kind of having girls bounce around and things like that. I get that, but like, I'm also partial because like I love what Invicta did because I missed the tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the UFC was started off a tournament. It's been so long since Dana's done one. I know it's so hard to do.
It's hard and it's very dangerous. And
I know. I
competed in the tournament. I won my tournament, but it's also very, very intense, very hard to convince fighters that it's worth it, money wise. And also, of course, fans love it. They're not the ones in there getting punched in the head for 3 separate times with adrenaline flowing through your veins.
But see, I don't say you do a one-night tournament. I say you set things up like, all right, like how we're talking about the weight class, and you set things up like, all right, we're gonna bracket this thing out. Mm-hmm. And then for you have a fitting, within, a fitting replacement for one if like there's an injury or something that when you
argue that already happens. That's why they have a ranking system. You could argue we literally are in a bracket. That's what the whole fight world basically is.
But when does it ever actually follow suit? Because that's when the UFC does where the matchups they choose what kind of makes the most sense in that point in time. What I'm saying is like when you're having these things where all right, where you may have where you may have something where fighter, champion retires and, maybe the number one contender is hurt. And then you can wind up putting a thing where 2 through 6 can wind up going at it while the number one contender rests up. He'll probably be the de facto, guy on the other side of the bracket. And then you can put something together and actually put and where fans can get invested in, athletes get invested in, and you don't really have that thing where you're just kind of feel like you're being played as being told of who the number one contender is and who should be fighting for that position, where you're actually given the tournament where maybe you get a fan choice in there where you get 2 you get 3, 5 and whatever, and then you go and have some fun with it.
That's fair. As a fighter, again, I have so many opinions with that because another negative aspect is, say you have 8 fighters, for instance, that are fighting. The number 1 seed might get put against the number 2 seed right off the bat and beat them. And then the number 2 seeds looks like they're number 8, you know? So it's always hard to argue that. You could be against the person who wins the whole thing right off the bat and be like, but I'm better than all the rest of them. But you can't prove that until a whole nother chance is done and you're 5 fights behind.
But that's why I think PFL's even weirder with how they do the point system and everything like that. Like you already mentioned, like what they're doing cool things with 55, with Clarissa, with with Kayla. But there's also not a whole lot of lot of female 155ers. Obviously there's a whole lot more 45ers, especially with UFC kind of basically doing away with that division. And between PFL and Bellator, they should be able to put something together to have something fun. I think we might see something over the next handful of years where you see some cross promotional things, not in the UFC, but I think with some of these other promotions that could be fun, that could be interesting for the fight fans, for the fight world.
True, I can agree with that.
But before I get ready to kind of wrap things up, Maranda, as I typically do, kind of throw the proverbial microphone over you. Anyone you would like to thank, shoot at your training partners, teammates, social media sites, any sponsors you may have, any charities you're working with, anything like that. The time is yours, my friend.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. Also, thanks my management for setting this up, LCA Sports Management. I have all my sponsors, which actually will be very easy to find. One on my link tree for Instagram, Facebook, but then also I'll have my website out, a new website out in the next 2 weeks. You'll be able to get merchandise, go see all the sponsors and gear that I have available. There's lots of sales going on right now in the summer, so make sure you check those out. And for sure, make sure you catch my fight. It's July 24th, fight night against Maycee Barber.
Definitely, when you get the site up and go on that, definitely need to grab me a t-shirt. I've been, this is probably the first time I talked to you since you've been in Invicta. You actually, I think this is the second management team you've been with since that time too, as well. So you've been definitely kind of grown a lot over the last few years. Definitely excited for this fight. Like she said, guys, July 24th, her and Maycee Barber gonna throw down. Make sure you guys check it out. Again, Maranda, appreciate the time. Hopefully we get you back on here again after a W.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. That was Maranda the Maverick. And you guys, that was another fun one. Wanted to throw this in here because we were talking to Maranda. I didn't want to throw it off. You're getting some love over here, brother. You got some you got a little stalker here.
Love you too, bud.
I guess he didn't think I was going to get to it, but I wanted to make sure I got to it. See, you're getting a little early birthday love.
Dude, James Harden just threw a ball off his teammate's face, and Milwaukee came in transition. Brook Lopez has slammed it. Milwaukee's on a run to start the second half. They've got a 4-point lead. They're on a 16-2 run in the last 4 minutes.
So all we had to do was talk to Miranda, and then the Milwaukee Bucks woke up.
I guess so.
Look at that.
Fowler. That's gay.
What do you think? That was Miranda's definitely cool and definitely got multiple layers. So not your average fighter, correct?
Yeah, she was fun to talk to, definitely. Yeah. Business psychologist, professional fighter. She does it all, man. Definitely gotta love that. And young, like she was talking about, like she was fighting at 19, man. Cutting massive amount of weight. And one thing I didn't get a chance to talk to her because she wasn't even watching the UFC tonight. Matt Brown does it again tonight. He is 40 years old, just knocked out Diego Lima basically with one punch. And he's tied. I think he's 12. I think it's 12 tied for the most knockouts in UFC history. There you go. I'll say, hey.
He's made his own little niche for it all, but definitely
Meanwhile,
fun.
The Lightning game
and appreciate the love, Colin. Only come on when we're on. Definitely got to appreciate the love, my friend.
Mike Budenholzer is pissed. Offensive foul. Really?
So
Mike
before
Budenholzer was pissed
anything you
because
want to
Giannis
say
got fouled on the other end. They didn't call it.
anything you want to say to the fan before we get ready to wrap things up for tonight, my friend?
Oh, how is that not an offensive foul? Yeah, I don't know. It's go Sixers tomorrow, I guess, in Game 7, right? And we'll go from there.
Sixers. Go Sixers. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Happy birthday to Mr. Burr over here. Make sure you guys are sending him love just like Colin did over here. You don't have to be that intimate about it, though. It's okay.
That's, you don't have to be that. Yeah, that's a little bit. Woo! Giannis banking home a 3. Let's go. The bank is open. It's open late on Saturday nights.
And that being said, if you guys aren't tuning in, make sure you guys are locked in watching some basketball. We're going to be watching some more stuff. The fans got some more stuff this week. Make sure you guys are subscribing. Make sure you check out the our premium content there on YouTube. Make sure you guys are checking out all the discount codes. So you're entering the giveaway. Like I said, I got some stuff I'm trying to give you guys. Show the fans some love.
There we go. Dude, PJ Tucker has changed.
Oh my God. Yo, a parting shot from the NFC East beast.
No, I don't need to hook up with a UFC girl, trust me.
I mean,
I've got plenty of that. I can hit it home.
I don't think he meant in the aspects of that. I think this was meaning the aspects of getting you into like a gym regiment.
If we hook up Zach with a UFC girl, what other way are we hooking me up except in a sexual sort of way?
As a personal trainer?
I mean, listen, like it's
you and wifey can both pay for some
nothing
PT
burns
time.
more calories. There ain't an exercise you can come up with, Steven, that burns more calories than sex. So,
And that being said, make sure you guys head over to Manscaped. Trimming all the southern areas for your ladies. Make sure you're using that code ATD, and make sure you let me know too, so you get entered in the giveaway, and we can have some more fun with you guys. Other than that, oh damn, he said in the square circle. He's trying to get you beat up. No, I'm not gonna let that happen, Mr. Burr. I'm not gonna let that happen. Won't let Zach be fed to the wolves.
It's more likely that'll happen at a baseball game than it is anywhere else.
All right, fam. This is another fun one in the book. Appreciate it, everyone. In the chat. Appreciate all the fam always tuning in. Even our goofy guys like Steve P always coming up with the with our little trolling comments. Lord, giving us some love. Bryce always in the chat as well. Other than that, man, I'll see you guys next week. Appreciate Miranda Mavericks time. Hopefully we can get Marina Coffman back on here and situated with some good internet, so we can actually get her on. Other than that, I'm Steve. He's Zach. This was another episode of the Weekly Roundup, and we will catch you guys next week.